Well, hello. Hello. Thank you guys for coming and for waiting for a while to speak. And I'm thrilled to be here. This is really an exciting trip for me. Singapore is the first stop on my tour in Asia, and I've never been here before. And I'm learning a lot of things about your mall system. This underground network is a little bit creepy, but wonderful. This is a great store. I've heard a lot about this bookstore, and I'm so glad to see so many of you here. I will tell you that I think my favorite part of doing these, traveling around and doing these events, is getting to, well, first of all, when you're on a book tour, you have very, very little time for sightseeing. So I'll spend most of my days going from bookstore to bookstore, meeting with journalists and things like that. So I don't get to see the museums or some of the, your botanical gardens or things like that. But what I do get to see, which I wouldn't if I were just a normal tourist, is the people in this really incredible, unusual, intimate way. And so getting to speak with you guys, getting to hear your questions and hear what interests you about the books or writing in general or anything, it's really my favorite part of traveling. So I definitely invite all of you to have a question, to ask me a question when the talk part is done. And then I'll be sticking around to sign books and answer more questions one-on-one after that. I'm here, I guess, celebrating the third book in my series. Passion has come out, it came out in the States on June 14th, so it's been almost a month since it came out. And it's the third book in the Fallen series, and it is definitely by far my favorite book that I've written so far. I guess you're always supposed to say that about your new book. I think you should always be feeling like this is the best you've done, and this is so much better than the last book. But it's a really good feeling, this one, because I'm very proud of my characters in this book. I think that the love story between Luce and Daniel in this book they have grown to this really incredible, an admirable relationship. I think the places where they started in the beginning, Lucinda is a very normal 17-year-old girl growing up in the American South, and Daniel, her fallen angel boyfriend, coming brand new into her life, and she's unaware of the history that they've shared together. And so I think the first two books in the series are kind of about getting to know each other and the reader getting to know the relationship between the two of them. But I feel that Passion, because of its structure, because it's such a wild book, for those of you who don't know, Passion is a kind of prequel in this series. The main characters have been in love with each other for thousands of lifetimes across 6,000 years of history. So they've known each other since about 3,300 BC. And their relationship has grown and changed, and Lucinda dies every 17 years. When she meets Daniel, they fall in love, they have a relationship, and then something, she does not know what yet, about their relationship kills her. And then she starts all over and is reincarnated again into a different life, in a different body, in a different, born to a different family, in a different country, in a different language, and everything is new. So in this book, she is finally looking backwards. She's figured out a way to go back in time and trace each one of these lives and visit who she has been and how she has become the person she's become, and see, most importantly probably, why she's involved with Daniel, why this cycle keeps repeating itself. And so I got to write, writing about 6,000 years of history is a very unusual task to take on, and it was a very different task from the first two books, which are 100% contemporary. They take place in the rural South in the present day, and then another one takes place in California. And this book dips back, at first it dips back 60 years into the first chapter, then it dips back another 100 years, then it dips back 400 years. And so we keep traveling back and seeing how she's been different in each life and how she's been the same in each life, and piecing together the puzzle of her mysterious past so that she can have a future. So that's where I am with this series. The final book is called Rapture. I've just finished writing the first draft of it, and I'm always nervous before I start a book, and then I'm always I'm usually, by the end of the book, I'm usually excited once I've finished writing it. But the writing process for me, especially the first draft, is very daunting and challenging, and I always struggle with it. I specifically struggle with Passion because of the historical nature of it. I had to do a lot of research that hadn't, that kind of research hadn't been done in the first two books. But with Rapture, I was nervous at the beginning of this one because I felt so pleased with Passion in the end that I wanted to make sure that the fourth and final book of the series was a worthy follow-up to it. And the cool thing to realize, I think, was that the characters have taken on a life of their own. They have their relationship, the love that they share, has become this force that exists almost separately from me. And so I learned in a way that the part of the third book, and certainly the fourth book, it seemed to write itself. The story was generating in a way that I didn't have to work for. I didn't have to struggle with it as much. I struggled a lot with Fallen. I struggled a little bit less with Torment. And Passion and Rapture have just sort of tumbled out a little bit more organically. And so I'm thrilled with the way that the series is going, and very excited to share that last book with you guys next year. People always want to know about my background as a writer. Have I always done this? Did I just wake up one day and become a writer? How do you do it? And I certainly did that when I was in high school, when I was just out of college. I think I would go and sit at bookstores and sit in the front row and get there early and just listen to whichever author was there. I would go and listen, kind of knowing that I wanted to be a writer, knowing that I was going to go home and keep working on that book I was writing, but wanting very, very badly to hear what the author said about how to be a writer. You know, like if she eats oatmeal and she's got a book published, I could eat oatmeal, and then maybe someday I could, it's just like these little idiosyncrasies that you try to pick up from other writers and learn how he did it. Did he write every single day? Did he take a day off? That kind of thing. And I feel actually that my own writing journey is kind of boring. I have always wanted to do this. I started it when I was, before I can remember. I've always been writing. I think I got serious about it when I was in high school, and I started falling in love with some of the books I would read in my literature classes, and getting very inspired by different teachers and things. And I started creative writing in a focused way when I was in college. I took creative writing classes. I majored in writing. Afterwards, I moved to New York, and I worked at a publishing house as an editor. So I saw the way that books are made on the other side, how they get edited, how a cover is picked out, how a book is marketed, all that kind of thing. And then after that, I went and got a master's degree in fiction writing, and so that's when I started writing Fallen, actually. But I don't think this is the only way to be a writer. I mean, I think I knew that this is what I wanted to do, and so I tried to stack up things in order to shape my life around books and storytelling and writing. But I think it's fascinating to hear about somebody. I have a writing teacher that I worked with recently who was a biochemist. She moved from China to Iowa in the U.S. to get a degree in biochemistry. And she just finished her PhD, and she woke up one day and she just sort of poured out this incredible novel, and now she's a novelist and a writing teacher. And I think you can be a writer or you can be a storyteller no matter what you do, no matter what sort of path you pursue. I think it's in all of us, this desire to tell stories and think about the way that narratives work, and what makes a good story, that you're telling an anecdote to your friend. How do you make a good story out of that? How do you make a good story in your memory? Even just experiencing something, when you think back on it, you focus on certain things, so that the memory becomes its own kind of story. So I think it's happening to all of us all the time. And then, I just chose to write a lot of it down. I think, well, there's more I'll tell you, but I think maybe we could open up to some questions, and I will focus on the things that you guys are most interested in. So.